Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Thursday Night Reading Sprints with me and my lovely friend Sharon. It's nice to see you. I can't remember how many weeks it is since we did one of these together, but it's lovely to have you on as well. Yeah, definitely. You've got different coloured hair, we were just saying, since last time we saw you. I look the same every week. It's nice that you're providing some variety, Sharon.
I know, this is my natural colour, so I've just stripped all the colour out. So this is white is my natural colour. So yeah, it's a bit sparkly and it's still a shock when I look in a mirror, but it's all right.
I love it. I really do. Like, I hope that when I was just saying to Sharon before, I hope mine does something nice because I've got some sort of streaks of grey or white or something going on underneath my hair. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before I'm approaching 40 now. So I'm at that point where it's all going to start going downhill in more ways than one, I think.
I'm 55, so I've been dyeing my hair since I was 13. So over 40 years, it's time to give it a break. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, maybe at some point I'll go wild and dye mine because I've only dyed mine once before, and that was just little streaks, and it didn't really do much for me, so I just left it since then. Although my hairdresser, every time she cuts my hair, she's like, "Your hair is in such nice condition." It's like, yes, because I'm lazy. I don't dye it or heat treat it, and it is mainly just because I'm low maintenance. I just wash it and leave it to do whatever it does.
That's why I had mine cut off. I used to have really long hair. I don't know if I was online when I used to have long hair, but I used to have quite long hair. But I hadn't got the time to do anything with it. So I just used to put it up all the time. And then I used to get headaches, when that awful feeling when you take the thing out of your hair. And I just thought it's pointless. So when I've got an hairdresser who could come to my house, because I don't leave the house often, as you know, because I'm disabled. I said to her, just chop it off. And she says, "Are you sure?" And I went, "Yeah, just chop it. Do what you want."
Yeah, I've not known you with long hair before. I've only seen you with the kind of various lengths of short, if you know what I mean. I think the longest I've seen is probably sort of like short bob.
And I love it. Absolutely love it. It's easy. I mean, I had a shower half an hour ago. My hair's already dry.
Yeah.
So, it's just so quick. And also, I think, I'm middle-aged. I'm 55. And I think sometimes long hair, if you haven't got the time to spend on it, it can actually drag you kind of down a little bit, make you look much older than you are. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's ideal for me. This is quick, easy. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Go in the shower, I brush it where I want it to go, and it dries in like 10 minutes. It's brilliant.
That's amazing. Mine takes about 3 hours to dry. I mean, I like the wavy thing that mine does itself, but I don't know. I've always had the same hair. Maybe at some point I'll change it, but I just can't be bothered.
Why? If you like it the way it is, leave it as it is, love.
I just don't think that much about it. Like, I like it if I think about it, but it's like about the 50th priority on my list, I think. So it just stays as it is, as a trim, and it stays as it is.
It's the same for me. My hair's not been important to me probably since I was a teenager. When you're a teenager, it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah.
But probably since I've been an adult, no. Do you know, I just wash and go. I want to wash and go.
Well, yeah, exactly. I was a teen in the 90s, remember, as well. So it was long, thin strands of hair like that.
Yes.
And it was twisted in various butterfly clips and stuff. So yeah, in the 90s, it was very much like all kinds of inspired by Gwen Stefani hair, mainly, I think.
I was a teen in the 80s, so it was mainly crimped hair.
Yeah,
lots of crimping and perms, like big, massive hair, basically. The bigger the hair, the closer to God you were. You know what I mean? It was up here. It was massive. Back combing.
I think I'm in the wrong decade. My hair would have been great in the 80s. Think of how much
Yeah. It was the mullet. It was it was the time of the mullet. And so yeah, my hair was massive in those days. It was black and back because I was a goth, back combed. So yeah, it was massive, my hair.
Well, I thought about you earlier because I needed a new audiobook and I downloaded the new Craig DeLuey book. Have you seen it? How to Survive a Horror Movie, I think it's called. It's just come out.
Is it out already? I've got the book on pre-order. I didn't think it was out yet.
Oh, unless I've got the ebook early, the audiobook early. But yeah, it's let me listen to it on Audible.
It must be due. I've got.
Oh, do you know what? It could be next Tuesday because we sometimes get the US publication date, don't we, for US led authors.
So much on pre-order is terrifying, really.
Oh no, I love that. It's like a little gift from your past self.
Yeah, it's out on the 10th of July, the book.
Oh, I wonder how I've got it so early then. That is so weird. I've started listening to it and it's really good, but I don't know. I wonder if the book's going to turn up then. I've possibly ordered the book as well.
Wow, it could be that Audible doesn't Audible cover the US as well, and it's a lot of these are out early in the US, aren't they?
Yeah,
Like,
possibly.
I really want to read Paul Tremblay's one because he's done one about a horror movie, Annie, but it's
Yeah,
not out
it's
here
funny.
until July.
Yeah, I was lucky I got an early copy of that. I saw they were giving out early copies at MCM to another author was being handed one, and I was like, "Excuse me, can I have one of those?" And they'd got a spare one, so somebody from Titan went and found one for me. I was like, "Oh," because I haven't read any Paul Tremblay. Because every time I read the back of the book, there'll be something about grief or there'll be something about parents and children, and I'm like, "Oh, I can't even touch that." And it's the first time I've read one of his blurbs and gone, "I actually want to read this," and I did. I really enjoyed it. It's very dark.
I love Paul Tremblay anyway.
It's the way, so there's a group of teenagers in this, I think the teenagers are early 20s, in a horror movie, and it's the way one of them is treated by the other young people as part of the film is really disturbing. And then it flashes to the present day where they're doing a remake of the film, or I think, yeah, anyway, it's quite complex as you go through it.
Doesn't it? Don't you find it funny sometimes that you get this kind of weird synchronicity with books? So
Yes.
you've got all of a sudden you have all these movie books. So there's Craig DeLuise doing one. I think Paul Tremblay is doing one. I think Clay Chapman Jones is doing one, and they're all about horror movies. And then you've got the slasher things, different slasher movie things. It's like all of these authors independently all wrote books that are kind of all back in the slasher. It's just weird, isn't it? It's really odd.
I think it's strange as an author because I can guarantee any author who gets a book deal will see somebody else has got a book that's like just coming out that's the same as
just
theirs.
like them.
Your heart always thinks, but then you kind of you pick yourself up. Like it was Renee Hardy's The Beautiful for me. It was just pitched as a New Orleans vampire book, and I was like, oh no, what did you say the 90s? My life is over. And then it couldn't have been more different as a book. I read it like with my heart pounding, worried, and I think even if it was set in the 90s, it would be a totally different book, wouldn't it? And it's not stopping us, is it? From I read Paul Tremblay's and I'm moving straight on to Craig DeLuise. Like it's not.
And the thing is that, and they both write very differently, so they'll come at from a different angle. It's just really, I just think it's just weird how the universe works. It's like synchronicity, isn't it? Where suddenly, you know, it's like somebody discovers a cure for something, and then other labs all start discovering it at the same time. It's a weird synchronicity in humanity that they do that. It just fascinates me, really.
Somebody told me something about aliens the other day, and I can't remember.
The audiobook's out, but the paperback doesn't come out till August the 8th.
Yeah.
How strange.
Yeah, it is strange. So yeah, the thing I was told about aliens was, it was Claire from Fictional Hangover. She said similar to what you say, that if we did discover that there were life forms in the universe, they would likely, if they were humanoids, they would likely be at a similar stage of development and evolution and invention to us. So they're not likely to get to us faster than we would get to them because their level of technology is likely to be where ours is, just because of how humanity develops. And that just blew my mind for about 2 weeks afterwards. I'm still thinking about it.
And if they're more advanced than us, they might be watching us, but they're not going to interfere. Much in the same way as in Star Trek, they had the prime directive. So they'd often spy on primitive planets, but they wouldn't interfere with it because they couldn't interfere with the development. So that kind of idea as well, that if there's a planet more advanced that's visited, they wouldn't make themselves known to us because obviously we'd probably shoot them, let's be honest, at the current state of our...
well, and what have they got to gain if we are more primitive? So yeah, I found that interesting. So I've told you what I'm reading. I'm not reading that tonight. I've got my edits back for my next year book today. So I've got all these prints. I'm going to work on my edits instead. So I've kind of read them through once, but I've not properly digested them. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring Kev over and go through my edits with me. So I probably won't be listening to my audiobook, sadly, because it does seem really good. So what are you planning to read?
I'm reading too. I'm going to show you this one on my phone because it's on my Kindle, but it's in colour and it's so beautiful.
Oh, I love the colour palette.
Yeah, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I can't see the lights really bad, but
Yeah, what's it
it's
called?
called We're Not Ourselves Today, and it's written by two fantastic indie horror writers called Lydia Prime and Jill Girardi. And it's basically the woman on the front is the librarian, and she basically presents these horror stories. It's a short story collection. It's very good. I read the first one, and I also really, really want to read Dark Matter by Blake
Oh yeah.
Crouch because I'm really in the mood for some sci-fi. So I really want to, and I've got a fantastic bookmark the other day.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
The Feral Girl Club. I really fancy this one. I really love Blake Crouch, and if you've read any of his, but it's very it's high tech, sci-fi, scientific discoveries, time travel. I love science fiction. It's my second favorite genre, and this is really good. It's about a bloke who he basically goes to work, gets knocked out by this masked person, wakes up strapped to a gurney
Oh
in
my gosh.
another world, and everybody says, "Oh, welcome back," and he doesn't remember
Oh my
anything
goodness,
about
that's
it.
terrifying.
So he doesn't know if the world he's in is real or the world he was in is real. And the world he was in, he had a family and a wife and a family and children, and this one he doesn't. So it's supposed to be really good. So I'm really looking forward. So I might read that one for start on that. I'll probably start on that and then won't put it down. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, my friend Naomi Gibson, who writes sci-fi YA, she sort of YA thrillers, she's
Naomi,
recommended that to me, and said it was really, really good because she's very interested in like time travel and the science of science fiction. So I think that appealed to her.
Me too, because I'm a massive Doctor Who fan, you know. So, yeah, I love anything like that. And I read his other one called Upgrade, which was all about this super serum that basically made humans their super versions of themselves. And it basically is an apocalyptic tale, but very, very scientific. I love that. It was great fun. I like his writing style.
Oh, at what cost? I can already tell there's going to be a problem with that. That's never going to go well as a upgrade humanity. See what could happen. Let's see who's in the comments, and then we can jump on.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi, Stephen. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Nadeem.
Hi, Nadeem. What Dan Brown book are you on, Nadeem?
Yes, this is the question. Or I think it was I've forgotten her name. Colleen Hoover last time.
Oh. Hi, Shelley.
Hi. Okay, this is a book I can get behind. Well done, Nadeem. Normally I've either not read them or I've read one out of the series, but I love that one. So yes.
I like the first one. It's a trilogy. I DNF'd the second one. But the first one was really good.
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the first one the most. I had some issues with the third one, which was just a personal opinion thing. There was no reflection on Holly's writing because it's brilliant. But there was just, you know, when a character does something and you're like, oh, I don't see that. So it then throws the whole path off course for me.
Gives you the ick. It gives you the ick, doesn't it? Sometimes things give you the ick and you're just like, no.
Yeah, and you don't know why. And it's just, you know, it's just you. Well, I'm saying that I think certain times it's like a polarizing thing, isn't it? That somebody's going to think it's the best thing ever, or it just, throws them off completely. So for the children.
It did. No, Amy should never read that book. But Craig DeLuey, yes, absolutely. That So for the Children is fabulous. Don't ever read it, Amy, until your boy's old. But it's basically in a world where all the children suddenly drop dead.
No,
and then 3 days later, they all come back to life with a taste for blood. It twists the whole vampire mythology completely. The whole of humanity collapses because what would you do to save your children? Do you know, it's absolutely fascinating. So the whole of humanity gets destroyed because they've got to try and feed these kids blood and they need the blood.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's a teen series that's similar called, I think the author's Dan Wells, and the first book is Generation Dead, and it's teenagers. Have you read them? Teenagers who've been, I don't know whether it's every teenager who dies or just ones who've been killed, like wake up, and depending on how soon after their death they wake up, they're either full-on zombie or they're just kind of a little bit thirsty for human flesh, like hungry for human flesh.
This is shocking, this book. I mean, no, I would never ever, any parent never to read it, because when they all collapse, it is really horrifying. I mean, real horror. And when they come back, they're creepy as hell.
I know, like, am I ever going to be able to read stuff like that? Or Am I just
Yeah, you
not? I
will.
don't
I
know.
mean, my stepkids were that your Nathan's age at one point, you know, darling. So, and they're adults now, and I can read
Yeah.
that stuff now. But when they were little, no, I wouldn't have read it.
Well, before I had
So
him, I watched Pet Cemetery and thought it was like the scariest thing I'd ever seen. And now I definitely wouldn't watch it. So maybe I'll come back to it. Recursion by
Recursion is also a good book. Yes.
Okay, so that's
Oh,
interesting.
interesting. I'll let you. Oh, I'll have a look.
Oh,
Right.
excellent, Nadeem. It's so good, isn't it, when you find an author that you absolutely love and you just eat up everything that they write and just kind of sit there waiting for the next one. I love that. I'm really happy, Nadeem, that you've got that author. At the moment, I don't know, Laini Taylor's one of mine, and the problem is she
Yeah.
writes books exceedingly slowly, so I've got to just sit patiently and wait 5 or 6 years for the next one. But
I
you know,
enjoy
it's
Dan Brown books. I think they're really easy to consume. They're really easy to consume. You can read them in a day. They're very quick, and
I
they
really
they
like the one. I
they
think
leave
I
it at
read
the
them
end.
out of order. You know, when the Da Vinci Code came out, I read
Yeah.
that, and I don't think that is the first book, is it? Isn't the
I think
one?
it's about the third or fourth, isn't it? I think
Yeah,
that yeah. So you've got Angels and Demons is before Da Vinci, which in my opinion is the best book.
yeah. See,
It's certainly
that's
the
the
best
mistake I
film.
made. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and I think I made a mistake reading them out of order. Ah, oh,
I
that's
don't,
sad. I hope.
if you've got little kids, please don't read it because it is really upsetting if you've got little kids. But if you haven't, it's great fun. I like
Oh,
Deception Point. Yes. That's Dan Brown.
okay. I'm marking where we're up to in the comments, and then we can come back to the Dan Brown chat. I need to hear it because I need to probably read them at some point. I'm going to start again, read the first one. It's probably a good holiday book, isn't it? Next time I go on holiday, I might get one.
Yes, he's very good at leaving the end of the chapter where you desperately want to know what happens next. It's
I
very good
love
at that
that.
cliffhanger
Yeah,
endings. So they're perfect like summer beach reads. Do you know what I mean? So they're great fun.
brilliant. Right.
I need to go and feed me cat. Feed me
Yeah, well,
cat.
I'm going to possibly turn my camera off a little bit, depending on whether Kev wants to be on screen or not. So if my camera goes off, it's because we're conversing about edits. So I'm going to
Exciting
put the timer
stuff.
on. Yes, secret stuff. Hopefully I can talk about it by the end of this year, maybe. I'll see you all in a little while.
See you in a bit.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
How are you?
hello.
Did the cat jump?
That went quick, didn't it? Blimey.
Yeah, tell me about it. I ended up going to hang some washing up that I'd put in halfway through, and
I had to go and feed the cat, so
you know,
yes.
productivity. So we've got things done that needed doing. I went through all my edits with Kev, and there's only one that I've got a slight niggle over. And what I think it is that I don't agree. I agree that something needs to change, but I don't agree with the suggested way of doing it. And editors quite often do this. Like they'll say, this isn't quite working, how about this? And they like throw an idea at you, and there's only one of the how about this is where I'm like, you're right that I need to work on that thing, but I need to come up with my own way to do it. So yeah, so that really good edits. I know I can do something with most of them. I've just got to ponder a couple, I think, and
yeah, it's just to make you think, I suppose, isn't it? So that's not quite working, but think of something else, and they have to give you a suggestion.
Yeah.
I used to edit magazines back in the day, and so it was the same kind of thing with with interviews and things we used to get in. So it was a scientific magazine, so we used to get these big theses, and we're like, that doesn't work. It makes no sense.
Yeah, because I imagine scientists probably aren't the most like
erudite.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and they're not necessarily like good at communicating with your everyman. They're good at communicating with other scientists, and it's about kind of making it palatable for. I've read a lot of law review type stuff, and it's amazing the amount of lawyers who are the same. You're like, this is aimed at law students, but it's written like it's aimed at, a doctor of law.
Yeah, it's got to be able to. This was a scientific magazine that was aimed at kind of people who weren't necessarily scientists, but were interested in what was happening in the world of science. So it needed to be understandable, and yet they'd use terms, and you're like, nobody knows what that means. Nobody needs to use a 10-syllable word. That's ridiculous. Yeah, that was fun.
I buy New Scientist every now and again if they'd have an article on stuff like vampirism or zombies. Like, I love it when they extrapolate, like, it's terrifying, but they extrapolate out, like, if zombies were real, how would that happen scientifically? Like, I love reading stuff like that. So I only buy science magazines if they've got something a tad ridiculous and supernatural to them.
It's physics that interests me. Do you know dark matter? Well, dark matter and antimatter, and working with string theory and things like that. That's what fascinates me. But yeah,
that melts my brain, Sharon. Like at GCSE physics back in the day was as far as I got with physics, and it completely, like even things like convection currents, I was like, because I can't see it. I just can't. I can't understand how these things are happening, and I'm not aware of them. Like I understand biology and chemistry because like chemistry, you can see a chemical reaction happening, and you can see things dissolving and condensing and what have you. But physics just seems more like theoretical.
It's esoteric, isn't it, in a way? Do you know, I had my physics teacher was a Yorkshireman, actually, and he says the basic principle of physics is now plus out equals 1. So nothing and nothing always creates something else, and that's true of physics. Really, physics is theorizing what could be. Whereas biology is obvious because we're biological creatures, and chemistry, you can, as you say, you can see the reaction. Physics is imagining what could be, right? So you're trying to imagine an atom that you can't actually see with your naked eye.
That's my problem, I think.
So it's more difficult to grasp onto, I suppose, really.
That's why I struggle with space and things like that and time travel, because I can't conceptualize them.
Fascinates me.
If my brain can't wrap around it, it doesn't want to know. It's like I want to understand things. So that's when I just like a door comes down and I'm back away.
The infinity of space. We're just in one universe. And there's multiple universes. We're so insignificant. We worry about the stupidest things. And actually, our lives are tiny. And yet they're huge to us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're tiny and huge, right?
Yeah.
But so look at a night sky full of stars, and you realize the stars you can see are already dead. They've been dead for millions of years. We're only just getting the light. That's how big the universe is.
Yeah.
It's impossible for brains to comprehend this, isn't it? Really, but the idea of traveling through it, oh, I would in a heartbeat. I'd be an astronaut in a heartbeat.
I wouldn't. I like my feet on this earth. Like I was talking even about skydiving to somebody earlier, and I was like, nope, I'll go up in an airplane and down in an airplane, but my feet stay on the ground.
No, I'd be off. I'd be off. I'd be one of those people. Do you know that film with is it Passengers with Jennifer
Yeah.
Lawrence in where
Yeah.
they're traveling so far that they're put into a stasis? It's like hundreds of years. I'd do that. I'd be like, yeah, knock me out, put me there. I'll be gone. Yeah, I'd love it. I'd love to see the Earth from space. I don't think I'm going to do it in my lifetime, but that would be brilliant. I'd love to see
we
that.
never say never. Speaking of which, how's your dark matter going?
Do you know something? Do you know when you're reading something and you're like, I've read this before?
Oh no.
I'm about 80 pages in, and I'm sure I've read it before. If I haven't read it before, I've seen a film.
Yeah,
it was made into a film, so
Yeah.
I'm wondering. I did check my Goodreads, and it's not on there, but that doesn't mean anything. So I only started Goodreads a year and a half ago. So I'm like, oh, this is familiar, but it's fun. It's fun, so it's fine.
It could be one of those strange books where, you know, we talk about like the zeitgeist and people all coming up with stuff at similar times. It might be that you've read somebody else's dark matter book.
It's like this guy, right, and he's having dinner with his wife and son, and then he's called in to just going to pop and see his friend at the bar. And I got to that point and I thought his wife's going to tell him to get ice cream, and then she tells him to get ice cream. Like, I've read this before. I've either read this or I've seen this film. So but it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to carry on.
I'm reading the third book in the Lake Witch trilogy, and I'm enjoying it, but it's one of those books that is so slow.
Weren't you buddy reading that, darling?
Yeah, I was, and my friend DNF'd it because she was finding it too slow. So I'd kind of read it really slowly because I was waiting for her to catch up, and then I was like, right, I'm going to have to pick this book up because she's DNF'd it. I need to not, because I want to know how this series ends, but I think they're quite slow books anyway, but I'm finding this even slower. And it's one of those that's got lots of characters, and it references like past characters that have died in previous books and stuff. And I'm like, some of the names are similar, and I find it a little bit hard to grasp, but I also know that it's really good. So I'm like a bit torn. I find it hard to read, but it's rewarding.
I read the first one, My Heart is a Chainsaw, ages ago, and I've got the second and third. I haven't read them yet. So I think I'm going to start from the beginning and read them again and read them in a row.
Yeah, I probably would. It might have helped because there's two names that are really similar. And there's Rexall and Rex Allen, which I think from the audio I thought were kind of the same person. And I was like, I'm reading it on the page and thinking these aren't the same person. And like Rexall's I'm getting mixed up. I think one of them is an ex-cop or something, and one is like a fairly bad person. And not knowing which is quite confusing. And there's two main characters that haven't been in this book, and I think I'm finding that jarring as well, that they were such a big part of the last book, and one of them was a big part of the first as well. I'm finding it weird that we're hearing about her, but she's not there, without spoiling too much. So
I remember the first one being slow, but I quite enjoyed it. And I do love the main character, the main girl, you know. So I did enjoy it, but I remember the first one being quite slow halfway through.
Yeah.
And I got to my 100 page and I thought, well, I don't know if I'm going to carry on with this. And everybody said, no, it does get better. That's just the world building, really. Kind of, which is weird for a horror.
Yeah. The lake sequence at the end is genius as well. I just loved every minute of that. So I think that made it worth reading for me.
And I loved it. And then I thought I'll get the second, and I got the second and third, but I never read the second. So I think I'm going to start from the beginning. So it's been at least 3 years since I read 2 or 3 when it first came out. So I'm going to read them again, I think, and read them all in a row.
You'll benefit. There's a lot of details that I think are being thrown in, you know, as a callback to the others. And I'm thinking, I know that this is relevant and I can't remember why. And it's kind of a bit jarring, but it's my own fault. I could have reread them, but it would have taken me years because they're so long. So I know you can probably blast through it in a couple of days, so I would do it if I was
Yeah.
a faster reader. I'd go
And
for that.
also, as well, I think it's rare, isn't it, for a horror to be a trilogy?
Yeah,
Do you
and
know what
to
I mean?
be,
It's rare, isn't it? I know
yeah,
your horror is a trilogy, but they are kind of separate stories in a way with an overarching
they are,
theme.
and I think they're a
Whereas
bit
this is one
different.
long
Yeah,
story, isn't it?
yeah,
So it's a bit
yeah.
different. Yeah.
And they're 500 pages, over 500 pages, which for a horror I think is bold as well, because you're
It's massive.
trying to
Massive.
keep a reader with you through that. So I'm about a third of the way through it, I think, and I am going to finish, but it does feel I'm picking up, reading a little bit and going, oh, that's heavy. It's not a book that I could sit and read 100 pages of in one go, whereas on holiday, I went away for a few days and I was reading Lauren James's new book. I read in 24 hours, brilliant. And then I read Murder in the Family and really enjoyed it. And I was reading like 50 or 100 pages almost in one go. Because it was just really compelling.
Entertaining. Yeah.
Yeah, this isn't quick. It's dense, and I have to reread bits and
I
digest
do
it.
love a thick horror though, because they are so rare. I do like a thick, juicy horror. Do you know, I've had a bit of a reading slump, which is I've never had in my life ever. It's probably because I'm not sleeping terribly well.
Yeah,
I when I pick up a book, I love it, but it's just the physical act of like I haven't been able to open parcels. I've got a big pile of parcels that have been there for weeks. I haven't got to. So it's and somebody recommended, you know, Sarah Cox, who does that Beneath the Covers.
oh yeah,
I'm BC to the book club. She's written a couple of books. One of them about a pottery class, obviously, because of Great British Pottery thingy, and one of them about a farm where she a farm thing where she grew up, and they were both free on Kindle Unlimited, and I absolutely loved them. Not my normal thing. Really feel good, female relationships, you know, normal life becoming difficult and helping each other. It was just they were exactly what I needed to kind of pull me out of the slump. So
that's.
yeah,
I think that's the best slump advice, isn't it? To read out of your comfort zone a bit.
completely different
I
to what I
wasn't
would
feeling
normally
slumpy,
read.
but I'd read loads of YA thrillers in a row, and I was like, I need a change. And I read a couple of
Yeah,
romances, and it just kind of snapped me back to zero. Instead of starting
yeah,
to feel a bit, I know where these books are going.
yeah.
I need something fresh. I just read some romance and felt great.
Hi, Jen.
Ah, that's good. So that was
Deception Point, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hi, Caroline. Oh no. Yeah. I mean,
Yes, could
the
be that
heat
too.
makes me feel very human, Caroline. If it's that slightly humid, muggy thing that we've got going on here, I just can't concentrate. Do you know what? I read that one quite slowly for
Me too.
Yeah, Holly Jackson. What did you think of it, Sharon?
I thought it was a great idea, badly executed, in my opinion. I mean, you
Yeah,
know, some people love it. I find I've tried a couple of like Good Girls Gone to Murder. You know, I just don't think she's for me. I find her quite difficult to read. I know other people love her, and that's fine because that's what reading is subjective. I just
yeah,
thought it was such a good idea, but it was kind of started really well, and the ending was really well. But they could have took out 100 pages, and it would have been better. I feel, in my opinion, it slowed down so much in the middle. I was like, oh god, you know,
yeah.
it becomes a strain.
I loved A Good Girl's Guide to Murder and Five Survive, and that one I kind of thought were good, but like you said, then they're not my favourite thrillers that I've read, but I did really enjoy them.
Yeah.
But I don't know, somebody like say Cynthia Murphy or Catherine Foxfield, like I think they're
I
more
mean, just
like
a different level. Do you know?
yeah,
I don't feel like, and you know, people can read whatever they like, and some people love them. There's not enough tension in them for me. Do you know what I mean? Catherine and Cynthia, they build the tension
yeah. I
where
think
it's almost, you know, it's oh god, what's going to happen next? Kind of, you
yeah,
want to know. She doesn't really build the tension in the same way. And I love horror, so I
yeah.
have a really high expectation of you know, there should be tension and fear. Do you know what I mean? So maybe
Maybe it's
that's
that
why.
difference. Yeah, it could be like the YA thriller versus I think Catherine and Cynthia are like horror thrillers, aren't they? So
Yeah,
it's
they
that
are. Yeah,
horror that I think you and I probably both crave. So maybe that's
yeah.
what it is. And yeah, Caroline is the length that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree, Caroline. It's that it just this. It started off so well, and the ending was good. I really enjoyed the ending, but there was a middle part where I just thought that just wasn't needed, and it kind of slowed it down so much that you were just like, oh, I just want to get to the end now, which is an awful feeling. I think it could have been 100 pages less, and it would have been a really fantastic thriller. But
I do find that so fascinating. Authors like, say, Karen McManus and Holly Jackson, like they are so prolific and they sell millions of copies.
yeah,
And it's like a style thing that you can either love them or not.
yeah.
It doesn't necessarily guarantee their success. Doesn't mean that everybody's going to love them. I find that really interesting about reading.
No, I don't hate them. I don't hate them. It's not like, oh god, I've DNF. I don't. I've finished the books. I just always feel a bit like, oh, it's not. It's a kind of a little bit of a disappointment, I suppose, really.
Where are we from? So I'm from South Yorkshire, and Sharon...
I'm originally from the Black Country and the Midlands. I don't know where you are, Jennifer, but I currently live in Devon. Because I came down here about 25 years ago, and then I met my husband here, and then we just ended up staying, really. But yeah, I love it. I live in Devon.
Oh, so we're a mixture. I love it in Devon too. I love Devon and Cornwall. I think are beautiful parts of the world, and so nice to visit. Maybe one day.
Yeah. Always got a spare room.
I love it. Honestly, I love a coastline. I just feel different when I can see the sea or when I know I'm near it, and I'm not near enough to it for my liking. But
I don't live near the sea now. I used to live in Exmouth, and I obviously lived in South Devon for a long time.
Yeah.
I lived in Dartmouth, obviously. Now I live in Mid Devon, which is completely surrounded by countryside.
Yeah.
So I'm about half an hour's drive from the sea.
That's not bad. See, we're about an hour and 10 from the sea, and it's too far. But I don't know, like where you end up, sometimes like things happen and it's almost out of your control, like jobs and life. And
it's the difference in cost here. If you live near the coast, it's a difference of about £150,000 on a house.
That's amazing.
So it's different. I live half an hour away from the sea, and I can afford more for the same money. So you pay for living near the sea.
Yeah, I bet it's galling, isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting.
I haven't read
enough Karen McManus books to be able to tell you. I did enjoy the Jenny Flynn. I think I've read one or two of Jenny Flynn Barnes's, and I did enjoy them, but I haven't finished the series, so maybe that's telling.
Oh, Louisiana. How lovely. It's warm over there at the moment, I expect. Oh, blimey.
We went to New Orleans in August, and I was melting. Like, the air was wet. It was quite an experience. I do love it. I need to go. Every time I see Louisiana or New Orleans,
if you've ever watched, Jennifer, if you ever watched Peaky Blinders, which is set in Birmingham, I'll come from about 30 miles away from there.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point of reference. Peaky Blinders, definitely. Good afternoon. It is.
Hello, fantastic.
It's getting late in the evening for us. It's cool to see people in all different parts of the world. I love it.
10 to 9 is here.
I know that Nadeem is in a different time zone to us, and it's always fun when I think Nadeem says normally like good morning or good afternoon, and then we're like, no, I'm going to bed soon. So since we have
the longest day today, though. It's the longest day today.
So we're going shorter from now.
Yeah, so it's not. Everything's going to go downhill now. I mean, soon be Halloween. Fantastic.
I mean, I'm quite happy for the days to get a bit shorter. I like my cozy evenings and person who will sleep because it's dark.
So the sun sets at 9:59 tonight.
Oh, okay. Oh gosh, that's late.
It's still daylight here.
Yeah,
it's 10 to 9 here, and I've got no lights on.
Yeah, I have lights on, but mainly for my camera. It's not for actually needing it. So yeah, since there's some new people, I'll just quickly run down. Yes, I imagine you are.
Yeah, I bet it is very much so.
Humidity.
That's you.
Yeah, so anybody who's not been here before, I just assume that people know how we do these. I'm just about to start another 40-minute sprint, and then I'll probably do a half an hour one unless I completely crash, but I'm going to try not to because I have work to do now. Book edits are here. I need to. She's also asked me, which is a lovely editor question, but she's asked me how long I think I'll need, so I need to figure out, because quite often you're told, you've got 2 weeks, you've got 4 weeks, you've got 6 weeks, but I've got to figure out how, which I think is very kind, but also I need to make sure that I don't under or overestimate it. So I think
you want to give yourself enough time, but you don't want to give them, you don't want too much time so that they've forgotten about you, do you? So
Yeah,
it's just a fine line, isn't it?
I know that by September they want it to be pretty polished as well. So I feel like it needs to have a couple of round of edits before September.
Is
And
this
I'm
the
conscious,
first edit you're doing now?
yeah,
Yeah.
this is the first. It's meant to be structural, but it's not very structural because I'd edited it so much to go out on submission.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty clean. So this is more of a light touch on structure. I'm not moving anything big around. It's just fleshing some stuff out, basically. And me being me, I can't leave the line edit stuff alone. I'm going to have to email the editor and say sorry. That I'm also tweaking wording and stuff just because if I see clumsy wording, I can't leave it alone. And I know that that'll help me later. So I'm going to go and do that. I've got one of the edits. I know annoyingly that I did on a previous version. There was a thing that I won't say what it is, but I took something off. And I'm now being suggested that I edit back on. I was like, oh, I have that. So I'm going to go and see if I can find the original.
This is the advantage of keeping everything, Amy.
It is.
Unlike the maniacs who delete everything, you've kept everything.
The
So it's
problem is, though,
easy.
I've kept everything. So I've kept thousands of versions of this book. So I need to find the version. Okay.
Oh, in Ohio. I love Ohio. Are you whereabouts are you? I've got a friend who lives in Columbus in Ohio. But yeah.
I don't think I've been to. Have we been to Ohio?
Fine.
I don't. We've not been to Ohio, have we? No, that's. I think is that in the middle. We've not been to the middle.
Middle-ish.
Yeah, I've done all of the edge states, so we need to at some point do a zigzag across the middle of the US. There's loads of states.
There's
that
not
are really
many I
long.
haven't been in because I used to tour, so I used to travel to most of them, but yeah.
We've done
That's a long time ago.
29 thus far, including Hawaii, but not including Alaska. So that's going to be the real kicker, I think. I'm not sure I'll make it to
That's
Alaska.
pretty good going, darling.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Oh, so the two books are they're by an author called Sarah Cox as Sara, and they were Thrown and Way Back. They were just really feel good, like family secrets coming out and women empowering each other because their marriages aren't very good or their kids are annoying them. And it was just a really feel very unlike. I like indie horror. The more extreme, the better. So it was completely out of my comfort zone, but it kind of just kicked me back in. Oh, Cleveland, also fantastic state. And so yeah, I really, really enjoyed them. But they're both on. Throne is definitely on Kindle Unlimited, and I think if Way Back isn't, it's also on special offer. So
I need to get one of them. I've now not got Kindle. I had Kindle Unlimited briefly and didn't use it. I had like 2 months free, and I read one book, and I thought I need to not.
I use it all the time. I've got about 15 on my book on me. I mean, I must read 10 to 12 a month from Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah,
Easy. So it's well worth the money for me.
I
But
probably only
if you
read a
don't
book.
use it, it's not.
No, I read maybe a book or two on my Kindle a month at the moment, and I read maybe 6 physical books a month on top of that. So, yeah, it's not.
And a lot of indie horror. I read a lot of indie horror, and a lot of that is on KU. So I have, a huge like source really.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, indie horror tends to be quite cheap on Kindle anyway, so I tend to get a lot of them at 99p or 2.99.
I'll get them if they're 99p too. Yeah,
it's not as bad. Right, let's do another sprint. We've done some nice talk about the US. Let's get some. So I'm going to be frowning because I'm going to look for files.
Need a cup of tea.
Enjoy your reading. You sound a bit Yorkshire then, Sharon.
Did I? I'm sorry. My mother was Yorkshire.
Well, this is it, cuppa. Have a nice cuppa.
Yeah, my mother was a Yorkshire bird.
Be as Yorkshire as you like, Sharon. It's lovely to hear. Right. I am going to put a timer on, so we will see you all in 40 minutes.
Bye bye.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
How did it go?
Yes, I've definitely read it before, so I'm speeding through it. I'm about 280 pages in.
Oh wow.
So because I've read it, yeah, 287 because I've read it before, so it's like, oh, okay. But it's good. It's a good book.
I need to read it at some point. You're not the first
Yeah,
person, like I said, to recommend it to me.
and it's a really fast-paced threat.
Yeah,
It's science fiction, but it's
yeah,
also a thriller and a mystery and an adventure. And do you know, it's very. It's like it reads like a fast-paced thriller.
yeah. That's
So
what I
it's really
like.
quick. Yeah.
I think it's when sci-fi is really dense and detailed that I can't get on with it because that's what loses me.
But recursion, that lady earlier was right. Recursion and upgrade are better.
Oh, okay, interesting. I'll check the blurbs out for each of them and maybe
Yeah.
pick one to
But
try.
dark math's a good one to start with because it's a bit of a simpler concept.
Yeah,
The
okay.
other two are far more, a bit more complex. But yeah, they're all very good. But I really love the other two. So it's
Excellent.
fascinating.
Well, I've got to a good place. So what I've been doing, while my editor had it, I've been reading through the book. So I'm just typing on my edits now and starting to compile them alongside the editors because a lot of them we've picked up on the same things. So I stick it all on the document first and then I actually act on it. So I think I'll be doing that for a couple of days and the next week I can dive in. I do like editing. I find it a bit stressful because some of them it's like just check this character all the way through the book that you've done this particular thing. And you're like, yes, I know I need to do that, but it's going to be a headache because I've got to go and actually do it now.
I've been
So like,
writing some short stories.
have you?
Yeah, so I love short story format. It's like
Yeah.
creative writing. I used to love it when I was a kid. And because I'm not sleeping very well, when I do sleep, it's usually on my chair and I nod off. And I'm having really, really intense dreams. So I've been kind of writing. Yeah, so I've written about 15 short
Wow.
stories so far.
You've got
Yeah.
enough for an anthology, Sharon. You need to submit that.
I know. I don't know if they're that good. But it's good fun. It's quite cathartic. Do you know what I mean?
There's something
So
really good about a short story because you can it's a self-contained small world, isn't it? It's like
yeah.
a beat or a moment. I think books are a bit messy and hard to wrestle with, but a story just feels really pure and condensed somehow.
And it's a bit of everything. There's a bit of horror, a bit of fantasy, a bit of thriller, a bit of mystery, a bit of adventure. It's been really kind of fun, and it's almost felt kind of like journaling in a way. It's kind of sorting out my emotions and my feelings in a creative way. Do you
That's
know? So
amazing.
it's been really good. So I don't know whether I'd ever share them, but they've felt good for me to do. So I wrote two today.
Amazing. Well, that's what writing is meant to be. I know
Yeah.
sometimes authors complain about it. I try not to because I do feel really lucky. Um,
Yeah.
it is hard sometimes, but I think it is meant to be enjoyable, isn't it? And it's meant to
It
be a way
is.
of exploring yourself and the world that you live in and making sense of things. So if it's helping you with that, just use it for that. And then if you come back to read them and you think actually this could be something, then that's when you can go off and do whatever you want to do, but you don't have to. That's the nice thing with fiction. I always say that people feel the pressure of publication, but it doesn't have to be. You could just write
No,
for
just
fun.
write for fun. And I can't obviously write longhand because I've got RSI. So I've just been using my dictaphone. So
Yeah,
just talking into it. So it's and then transferring that from, text to speech to text. So which is really useful. There's so many tools now that make it really useful for, people who can't write or
yeah,
I can type, but I'm finding it easy just to kind of flow of ideas out my head right into a dictaphone,
yeah.
um, and then transferring it and then going back in and just
It's cool that you can do
editing.
that. That would be so useful because
Yeah.
my stream of conscious written is quite coherent, but my verbal is not. So I quite often record voice notes to myself, and it's just me going, so I could write it this way, and I could do that. And actually, what am I having for tea? And I just go off on these weird. I start
But I
having,
do my reviews that way. I
yeah.
record my reviews on notes.
Oh,
So
okay.
you know what I mean, and then I'll go in and maybe edit it a little bit. When I do videos online, I rarely edit. I just turn the camera on and just talk. So it's just the way my brain works, I think, a little bit. Where some people they find it easier to write it down and structure it that way. We're all different, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm not too bad with reviews. I think I'm vaguely coherent at least, because I've got a book to pin it on. So I can pick the book up and it pins me down to something. I can't go for a tangent because the book is there. So I think reviews are okay. But yeah, if you did, and like questions in a Q&A, I find I can think quite fast on my feet because the question is steering me. I think my problem with recording is that it does just come out as a big jumbly mess. That's me, really, a big jumbly mess. So I just like...
me too. I'm a big jumbly mess all the time, love.
Nothing wrong with being a jumbly mess.
I think she sent me some... She sends me memes and videos all the time, Paula. But
no, I love
proper
that.
cheers me up.
I think she sends like curated lists of them to people. Like I get animals and cute kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, she's just... to room 217.
Yeah. Oh, God. It's a long time since I've read The Shining, and I've been thinking I really want to read Dr. Sleep because I've never read it, and I don't know whether I'm going to read The Shining and then read that. But I've said I'm a slow reader, so it might take me 6 months to read The Shining and then 6 months to read Dr. Sleep.
I think you can read them quite separately because he's grown up in Dr. Sleep, so he's not a child anymore. Yeah. So I think it reads, although they're in the same, it's the same character, it feels very different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I prefer the book. I mean, I know people love the film because of Jack Nicholson, but I prefer the book to the film.
Yeah. Same. But Jack Nicholson is amazing.
And it's incredible. But I don't think he did a particularly good job of that, the film. I know people think it's a classic. I don't think it's the best adaptation.
I think that's the thing. I think it's a great film. I don't think it's a faithful adaptation
of the book. No. Yeah. No.
Oh, that's another one of Sharon Stone.
Oh my God. That would be in my top 3 Stephen King books.
Yeah, I need to read it.
I absolutely love that book. And that's a chonker. It's about 600 and some pages.
That's what's put me off that one. I've got that on my list. And Lacey's Story, I want to read. Lacey's Story, I think it is.
I don't know how you pronounce it. Lacey, I don't know. But that's such a good... that's time travel. It's just so good.
I've watched the TV show of it as well, and I think I need to leave maybe a little more time to forget because the TV show was fine, but I don't think it was probably...
It's just like fascinating. I know, darling. It means you love me. I love that.
Oh, lovely people in this book community.
Oh, they've saved my life this last few months.
Honestly. Right, let's do the last sprint. I'm quite sleepy, so I'm going to do 30 minutes, and I might go and get ready for bed, so I may come back looking a bit shiny.
I'm switching to the Tales Point Horror one now.
Oh, nice. I've got that on Kindle because I didn't manage to find a physical copy of it. They were all really expensive. I don't know whether the Point Horror Book Club had all beaten me to it.
Isn't it weird how some of them are like The Bride? The Bride, which I think is next month or the month after, cost me 10 quid. I bought the 5 books, including the extra bonus we did on Sunday.
Yeah.
And the whole lot cost me 20 quid, but one cost me 10.
I realised
the other 4 cost me £2.50 each.
You know the Night World series, which is L.J. Smith, who wrote the Vampire Diaries and stuff. I'd got one of them missing, and I didn't realise somebody had sold me the full collection, and what I'd actually got was duplicates of one of them, and I never noticed until I went to film a TikTok, and I was like, oh, I'm missing one. I'll just go and look. And the reason I was missing one is that it was like a 15 quid book, and I sat and wrestled with it for a while, and I could only find one that was even a remotely reasonable price, and I thought, I've just got to grit my teeth and pay 15 quid because I feel like if I don't, I'm going to look in a year's time and it's going to be 100 quid or whatever. So I just...
It's random. It's so random. And like you could look at it one day and he's 3 or 4 quid, and the next day you look and he's 10, 12 pounds, and you're like, what's happened overnight?
We're all reading it, I think, with the book club. So sometimes I think if you're not quick, people kind of swoop up. I need to do what you did and read by the next view ahead, because I thought I had the full collection and I don't have that one.
Yeah.
So whether I had quite narrow criteria, whether it didn't fit my criteria.
I love The Hunt. I'll get all the 4 books from Shelley, and then I'll go straight away to get them. As soon as I know what they are. I love hunting them out. It's such fun.
Yeah, Kev did most of mine and my Buffy collection. So he did that, and then I just got a steady stream of them turning up, and we just had to organise them. It was very fun. It was like Christmas every day. A new Buffy.
I'm just buying them as we read them. So occasionally I'll buy an extra one if it's cheap.
Yeah.
But I'm buying them because I just haven't got the room, and as you can see, it's all a bit mental.
I need to do first a video shaming myself of how many
Jamie.
books are laying around my room. I need to tidy it and put all the books piled up just so you can see the chaos I'm living with. And then I need to probably film a massive unhaul. And
I've got to be so careful, Amy, because, you know, Carl used to temper me. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the next time you see me, I may just have a whole throne of books.
I'm just thinking we're going to see it rising up behind you and then starting to lean over like the books.
It's just going to get you.
I'll watch
and
out for the
Sorry, Bab.
signs of imminent collapse. And yeah, I will film mine and it'll make you feel better because honestly,
Yeah.
I'd say I've got probably 3 or 4 times more books than I've got shelf space.
Yeah. Well,
So-
this. I've got all this here, and I've got shelves in every room in my house. There's 3 shelves in my office upstairs. There's books everywhere. It's more book than brick in my house.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
actually it's actually a fire hazard off it.
I've been told it's insulation though. I
Yeah,
have
it's
it
true.
from authority that it insulates your home. So remind yourself
Save
of
on
that next time.
Save on the heating, love. That's right. Anyway, let's get on because you
Yes.
need to go to bed.
Yep. Sprint time. I'm going to go and get ready and then come back all shiny and clean faced and to watch some X-Files, I think. So see you in half an hour.
Shiny. Bye, loves.
Hello. How did it go? Oh, we can't hear you, Sharon. Are you turned off?
Have you read this one yet, Diana? Sorry, I'm muting my mic. Have you read this one yet?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
It's crackers. I thought the claw was crackers. This is crackers.
I missed the claw. I need to read this one.
Eccentric rich people, creepy gardeners, a macabre family death, a old haunted mansion, a library. I mean, it's just crackers. I'm absolutely loving it. Yeah.
I've got it on my Kindle to read, so I need to try and do it before the end of the month. I
also have to say I was very excited about all of the author reveals for Yalk.
Oh yes,
including you. I thought I know that one.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of them, but yeah, very excited about a lot of them. So it's very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really good lineup. I think this every time. I'm like, surely they're not going to invite me again because look at the other people lined up.
There was so many. I mean, I know it's the 10th anniversary, so maybe.
Yeah.
But there seemed so many, and lots of different panels this time.
Yeah, the panel I'm on is just like wild. I'm doing it with like Juno Dawson, Katie Webber.
Juno Dawson. Yeah, I was just like, wow.
Yeah, I know. And who else? Mallory Blackman. You know, I did a panel with Mallory Blackman. And then Kat McKenna, who's a publicist who I worked with a lot as a blogger. And now she's written a book about Taylor Swift and fandom, and then we're on the same panel together. So it's weird how you kind of end up.
Your panel's on Saturday because I was trying to be realistic. I am hiring a buggy, but I'm probably only going to be able to do one day, you know, because I'm going to be too tired. So I was glad that the majority of people I want to see are on the Saturday.
Oh, cool.
So I think Amelia's coming with me. She might pop in on the Sunday for something she wants to see, but I don't think I'll be able. Feasibly, I don't think I'll be well enough.
Yeah, I mean, Saturday does tend to be the packed day where there's a lot going on. And I think Sunday, I don't know whether it's the same, but when it was a 3-day thing, the Sunday used to always be the quieter day and it had like a slightly shorter schedule. But I don't know, with it being a full weekend, it might still be pretty packed. Yeah, they've put me on, I've got a workshop and a panel on the same day on the Saturday. So
I just got so excited.
Honestly, when I saw the email, because they emailed me, I think, a couple of weeks ago and just asked my bio and stuff, and I was like, oh,
yay!
Yeah, I know. And then I clicked in to see who I was with, and I was just like, this is just not happening.
I mean, how could they not have you, darling? How could they not?
I mean, it's nice that you say that, but I do know there are a lot of authors out there, and I've done it a lot of times. So at some point, my luck is going to run out. But for now, I'm just really grateful that I've done everyone since I've been an author.
Absolutely, you should.
Including
it wouldn't be Yalk without you, would it?
Well, thank you. Well, that they have said that to me, like some of the people who work there, because I've been going to everyone since I was a blogger. So I think they like roll me out as the kind of she was a blogger and now she's an author. Look, it is possible, and it is.
See, this is what happens. You come here as a blogger and they end up as an author.
Honestly, I met my agent there. I met my publisher there.
Same with Rosie. Rosie did the same, didn't she?
Yeah.
She met her publisher there too. So
she was about to self-publish, and then she chatted to Scholastic, and they offered to publish it like a month later. So it's
looking forward to finally meeting her too. Yes. So looking forward to seeing Kasha and you know, I'm really looking forward to just to meeting everyone really more than anything else.
It's fabulous, honestly. For that, you could do it just that, not doing any of the author stuff, and it would be just a really lovely time. But let's go through the comments.
Oh yeah, because time's getting on.
I need horror, mystery, or thriller recommendations that have a source of light on the cover. One of Cynthia's has got a candle, The Midnight Game, I want to say it's called. It's got a
Midnight Game. Burning the Negative by Josh Winnings also got lights on the front, fire on the front. It depends whether you want adult or horror or YA, really, darling.
Well, we've given.
I'll never think about horror ones for you.
I'm pretty impressed with us that we just both off the cuff could go. Yep.
At this time of night, I mean, it's pretty impressive. The Whistling. Now that's a great gothic ghost story. It's brilliant.
Awesome. That was the one. I don't remember the date. Tell me the date, Sharon.
Oh, 11/22/63.
Yeah. All the numbers were just jumbling together in my head then. Like,
it is. It's massive. It is. It's huge.
It's Stephen King books are best read on a Kindle, I think, although I have all the physical copies. Excellent.
Yeah, it's a good book, The Whistling.
People
Never
help.
have too many. No, it's not possible.
Yes. Yep. Just need more shelves. You are so welcome. We do this every
Lovely.
Thursday
Thank you.
and
Nice to
some
see you.
other nights. Oh, see, that feels a bit
Oh,
serendipitous, Paula. And I mean, I know that
it
childcare.
is expensive. I mean, do you know? I mean, the main reason I'm going is because I'd already booked it,
Yeah.
and so I don't want to waste the money. So I've already booked the hotel and the tickets and everything. So, but and I do want to come. So, yeah,
I'm
it'll be good
bringing my
fun.
little person, but I know that it doesn't suit all small people who
No.
does get a bit overwhelmed every now and again.
I'm going home earlier though. I booked the hotel from Friday to Monday,
Yeah,
and I'm still coming on Friday. But I've decided I'm going to leave on Sunday evening.
yeah.
So because it's pointless trying to get through London in traffic on Monday when I could leave at 5 o'clock on Sunday and be home for 8. So that's what we're going to do, I think.
Yeah, that sounds very sensible to me. I think we're probably going to come up the Friday. I don't think I've booked train tickets yet.
They're not up yet. I keep checking, but
Oh,
they're
okay.
not there. You're staying with your brother though, aren't you? That
Yes. Yeah.
saves you a lot of money, doesn't it? With
Yeah.
with staying accommodation. My
Yes.
accommodation's over 500 quid just for
Oh
that.
gosh, is it? See, they
Yeah.
generally, if you're appearing there, your publisher often will cover your accommodation, but it is no guarantee.
Yeah.
And last year I was in a weird situation where I had 2 publishers, and I was like, who do I ask? So I think I ended up paying for some stuff, and they each paid for some stuff.
Mine's
And
expensive because I'm in a hotel that's 300 yards from the venue.
yeah,
So I'm
so
in Kensington, so I'm paying
yeah.
more. I'm paying premium for
Oh
that.
yeah, Kensington hotel prices are
Yeah.
steep when it isn't Comic-Con. So I think that's the best way for you to get there easily, isn't it? So you've got to
Yeah.
do what you can do. Think it's
Right.
bedtime, Sharon. I'm teaching
Well,
tomorrow.
I'm going to carry on reading. Are you teaching
I've
tomorrow?
got a day of supply, yeah. Probably the last one I'll do before the summer. I'm doing odd days because I'm doing a day a week from September. Just because I don't want to, you've got to use it or lose it. And it's been 7 years
Yeah.
since I've taught. So I thought I don't want to have had that long a break from the classroom. So I'm just going to do a day a week and see how that goes.
I'm washing my carpets. I have such an insight in life.
I mean, you do that. I'll go and teach me your 6 children. It's all good.
I go back to work in September, so I'm just
Oh,
trying to get everything done that I need to get done because it's easier to keep on top of it then.
That's
so
a really good idea.
yeah,
I'm doing the opposite. In September when school starts, I'm planning a full house gut because I will be writing 4 days a week then, but I also want the house to look nice. And at the minute, I'm just looking and I'm like, oh, yeah.
It's very difficult with a toddler though, darling.
It is.
It is hard, And then there's Kev. I'm sure he's untidy.
I mean, none of us are tidy. This is the problem. I think Kev would be the tidiest, but he's had over 20 years of my influence. So I think it's made him more untidy. Right.
It's difficult. You've got a busy life.
As
so thank you so much for inviting me.
It's been lovely. I'm going to go to bed, but please do keep in touch. We'll chat. Everybody, thank you for the comments. I can feel the coherence going, so I'm going to sign out now. I'll see you all
next week. Have a lovely weekend,
day.
everyone.
And maybe before, I'll let you know online if I'm going to do an extra one.
Yeah.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, lovelies.